What is up, everybody? This is Weekly Rewind. I am J-Lag, and I'm here with
NB.
And we're doing our second episode.
Talks.
Hope you guys liked our first one. If you haven't checked it out, check it out first.
It's been a week since the last one.
It's been a week.
Hence the name Weekly Rewind.
Yeah. So
today we're going to be talking about...
We're going to have a few things on the line. So
what is it?
Part 2 of Handmaid's Tale, because we're just going to keep going.
So at this point, both of us have now caught up to episode 7, which is the last episode recently.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that.
So spoiler alert, right up top.
If you want to pause it during our Handmaid's Tale section, you can.
Or listen to our thing after.
Because we're so proper.
Because we're going to get into that. And then we're going to talk about another show that has just started that we are both kind of starting to try to watch, called American Gods. And then we're going to talk about something different and special.
Something crazy.
Yeah, it's called Attack on Titan. And we'll get into that when we get there.
Yeah, so we're going to...
start...
So it's an anime...
It's an anime show.
Yeah.
Japanese anime.
On Netflix. And so I've only watched the first episodes. You've obviously watched a lot more.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about it quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's get into the show.
Yeah, let's do it. So we always started off with a song of the week. MB, let's hear your song of the week. Okay, my song of the week is Drop That Booty by Antonio Giacha. I think that's how you say his last name. I discovered the track while I was looking for songs for my friend's birthday, and it is a really hot summer track, very EDM, very bounce house kind of. So check it out, definitely.
So mine's kind of the complete opposite.
Okay.
Because it's under the playlist called Pop Chill in Apple Music.
So total opposite.
It's by Sandro Cavazza.
Okay.
And it's called So Much Better.
Ooh.
So good.
Is it so much better?
It's so much better than yours.
Okay. Oh.
It's you know what it is? It's kind of poppy, but it's almost still dancey a little bit.
Loungy-ish?
Loungy, kind of. Yeah.
I'm down.
So yeah, guys, check that out. We'll have the links to the two songs that we're talking about in the description below. Yeah. On YouTube, on iTunes. You just gotta go to YouTube.
You just gotta check us out first. So just gotta go do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into our first topic, our fave topic, or the biggest thing that we've been talking about for the last little while. Handmaid's Tale Part 2. So now, NB mentioned, we're all pretty much caught up.
Yeah, which last week kind of started off. We were still we hadn't caught up all the episodes.
So first things first, I wanted to talk about the fact that we weren't really sure where the show was going. NB, you mentioned that you watched the show, or no, read the book way back when, and I had never read the book, so I didn't really know what was up and where this show ends. So I think one of the first questions we had asked each other was, do you think that this show is going to have 2 seasons? Or multiple seasons? And you had originally said that you saw it kind of finishing.
Yeah, I guess because I always, not that I remembered the ending in the book, I totally forgot what it was, but I kind of just wanted an ending because I'm I can't handle this pain any longer.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted it to have a start and an end.
Sure.
But now I can definitely see why they want to prolong it.
Open it up. And we just heard this week, or last week I guess, that they just announced that they are going to be shooting a second season. So we now know that they didn't want this to be a Big Little Lies kind of ending. But you know
what? That leads me to believe that their ending of this season is going to be a very
it's a cliffhanger.
Did they film it based on the fact that they weren't going to come back?
That's a good
or did
point.
They film it based on they knew they might come back?
So here's
that could lead it to very 2 different endings.
My wondering is, so I don't know how many episodes are going to be this season. I'm assuming 10, but maybe it's 13.
10. I think it's 10.
So let's assume there's 10. We're at episode 7. There's only a handful left then, if that's the case. Either way, 13, 10.
Yeah, 10.
It's only about half, There's not many episodes left. So how much more story can you tell and wrap it up without knowing that there was going to be a second season?
Exactly.
So
yeah. And it was funny because when we got to episode 6, I think that's when I said it. I was like, okay, it's slowly starting to turn.
Yeah.
But there's still much more that you could talk about in the story. So
for sure,
you can definitely see why at this point they'd want to make another season.
Right. Also,
it's doing amazing. So I'm sure Hulu was
doing really, really well.
Give me another second season.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out, how they end off the season. So we're not going to give too many spoilers, but I do want to kind of talk about what we've kind of discovered in the last few episodes. So like I said, we're all caught up. The last episode was a cool like transition and push to another
episode
character.
7.
And we kind of we learn a little bit more about June's husband, and his story kind of past this. And without giving too much away, it kind of covers off that world and like kind of like what happens.
So it picks up from the moment that you hear when she's running away and you hear the gunshot.
Yeah.
And it picks up sort of in that moment,
right.
on his perspective and his side and sort of what happens in between. But also, again, they're so good with flashbacks.
Yeah.
So good. Seamlessly, like they've inserted it throughout the episode. And,
right.
Yeah. It makes for a really good 55 minutes of like
for sure
entertainment.
For sure. And I mean, I think episode 7 is a great little break. I think I was talking to Envy about it earlier today and just saying, you know, it's nice to kind of get away from the Handmaid's world for a minute, because the Handmaid's world is extremely dark and extremely oppressive, and seeing kind of the outside and kind of what was going on the outside a little bit was a nice like little refresher.
Yeah, I think for me, I've always wanted to know how this all started. Right. Episode 6 answered a lot of those questions for sure.
I kind of want to talk about that too.
Yeah,
actually.
when they were on Serena Joy's character and how she kind of had a play in all of this.
Right.
And obviously now that she's like totally cut out, but to see episode 6 and then to see episode 7 right after, you're really getting a perspective of this whole world as a whole. Like really, Canada's here and US is here and Mexico, and so you see where the US is fitting into all of this. And now you're sort of, okay, I get this world now. I'm getting it. And it's really, really cool to see it in that way, because for the first 4, it's all about June and like her life in that house. So definitely like, yeah. Oh, so good.
So since you're talking about episode 6, I wanted to cover off like a few things in that. And I think last week when you told me to like catch the fuck up, you said episode 6 really kind of tells you how they got to where they needed to, like how they got to where they are now. And so the one thing, and I guess I'm just going to say it, is you find out that there was a specific attack that was taken against the government, like the White House in the States, and they ended up taking over. So, and by taking over, I mean this hyper religious group, which is led by, I guess, what's his name? Fred, whatever his name, the commander, and like his wife. Yeah, he's like one of the leads. In it. So you find out that they like bomb them, and then they kind of go in, like they swoop in, and then they become the new law. Yeah, and
they talked about like overtaking the White House.
Right.
So obviously it's starting off with those like those big government buildings.
It was interesting because NB and I were talking about it a little bit after, and I was like, you know, it's really cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it's like really interesting to see this group kind of come in with these hyper religious ideas, and that's why they ended up where they are. Whereas currently, you know, we were talking about all these like really direct parallels that are happening in the world right now and in the States right now, and you know, it's crazy to think that even in that world, Margaret Atwood said that it was like through a war. Whereas like we know now that a lot of what's happening in the United States was kind of put onto themselves on purpose. You know, they elected a group that they thought that would work for them and work well for the majority, and now we're kind of stuck.
Not even a group, one person. Technically it was like it came out to one person, which is really freaky to think about.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, now that we see the world, we know that like the rest of the world, including the rest of the Republicans, are kind of against what he stands for, and I think it's a very interesting parallel to see that they didn't need to have a war for this to happen. They just incited it themselves. They just kind of voted somebody in, and now we're kind of stuck with this kind of crazy situation. So that I thought was really, really interesting. Just on a general level, I wanted to take it back to my film.
Hold on, there's a quote that I want to find quickly.
Yeah, okay. So while NB's looking for that quiz out, I'm just going to keep riffing off and talking about the fact that I think it's really, really, really interesting to see the camera angles in this show. I think that the show really shows the way they shoot it, I think really makes a huge difference in how the story's told. And I notice it more and more as the show goes on, but it's obviously a obvious director's desire to do that. Did you find it? Okay. So yeah, I was just talking about like the angles that they use.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And you notice a lot of like aerial shots is one of the really nice things, and I think that has to do with like the idea of like sometimes when you see things from above, you see like perspective of like it's almost like
you know what I found I loved, and I told you this before, but that's also it's the shot, but it's also the moments that they create even without dialogue. Like when Offred comes into Serena's room to wait for her. And Offred sort of like goes up to the poster bed where she what's it called? Like screwed. Yeah, she walks up to that middle of the frame, and she's sort of standing like exactly where the commander would stand when she's on the bed, right? And she's almost taking his position in that moment, and like you kind of see the bed and like the whole wall, like from his perspective, right?
From the man's
so she's almost thinking of is like this is what he sees every time, and then she holds that she holds onto the post, and it was so eerie, and so weird. And then as soon as like Serena walks in, she kind of like comes back, but like in that moment, the way you see it, because it's so much about your perspective,
it's all about like those untold way of telling the story.
There's no words, nothing,
anything, but it's just her like kind of taking in that moment, and
you're like, oh god, like, I see what she's trying to do there.
And I see it happen a few times too. I mean, like I said, with the aerial shots, I think they do it a lot to show that whole like Big Brother idea that like people are watching you at all times. But there was one actually in the episodes that I started to catch up on. I think it was episode 6. Was it episode 6 or 5 where Off Glenn / Off Warren like went on a tirade?
I think it was 5.
Okay, so let's say 5.
Yeah.
So they're at the grocery store, and I really didn't realize until that episode how cool their costumes were. So they wear these old school like Dutchy, like kind of like nunnish kind of outfits, but they have these hoods on, and when you look forward, you can see their faces, but if I were to look at, let's say, NB from the side, you cannot see what her face looks like because she's covered up. So all these glances and all these movements that we get to see because the camera's directly pointing at them, that people who are right beside each other don't see those expressions.
I think that's a part of their costume too. Yeah, like a part of her costume is that when you're wearing that hat, you don't see anything. You have blinders on. Yeah, you don't see anything around you. You just look straightforward. And that's it. Right. You don't look at anyone else. And I think that's like very true to I feel like what they say about like Americans too. Like
it's very narrow-minded, one way only, tunnel vision.
Exactly, right.
But and I think it's just to keep people in check too, right? Like I mean, like if you really want to look at it that way, blinders are used for horses so they don't get distracted by everything.
Yeah, and I think that's so true in terms of like even when they walk home, they don't want them looking around and talking to like the next. Right. They just want them to walk home, walk to the grocery store, come back.
But yeah, I guess I just forgot because I didn't see that angle for the longest time, like that forward angle where you don't realize that like even the two handmaids can't really even see each other's facial expressions unless they're looking at each other in the face.
It's so creepy.
So it's really cool to see the camera kind of on each other's faces, and like you don't know who's like hearing who's hearing what secrets because you can't tell from their facial expressions. So it's really so interesting weird. And really really cool, and I thought that was a really like cool way to shoot it. Obviously it was on purpose, and it was like really really well done. One final thing before we finish off, and this is probably like an overarching thing, and I wanted to ask you about it because I think that you probably have a lot to say about it. There's a lot of like woman versus woman crime going on up in here. Like what do you have to say about that?
I think that's probably one of the biggest things. Like when you watch, it's the most heartbreaking thing that I've seen. And I think it started for me in that moment. It happened twice. That one moment when in the first or second, I don't know, the girl was giving birth, and they're all in the room. So the Marthas were like down, the wives were like downstairs, and then like the handmaids were upstairs waiting for like their sister to like give birth. Then I guess when the time was like really close, they all came into the room, like even like the housewives. And I'm watching this room of all these women who were mothers or like they're becoming mothers, or
trying to become mothers,
and like in that moment, how I felt, I don't know if anyone else felt it, but I was like, it doesn't even matter what freaking like level you are in this world. Like you're all women right now hoping this baby comes out alive. And in that moment, it was like silence because they're waiting for the baby to like cry. And like the worry on all of their faces was the exact same. Doesn't matter if you're a Martha or you're the housewife or you're the handmaid. Like at the end of the
everyone
day,
wants
like
to see
you still wanted that birth
life.
And that like love, that life coming out. That for me was like a really powerful moment because it was like fuck all these rules, man. Like, let's just have these babies. Like, you know.
But then
what a stupid thing that you guys are living in right now.
It's true. And then like very very quickly they're like,
oh yeah,
give me the
right
baby.
Away. Of course.
This
but
is where you sit.
It's all about that second.
Yeah.
There's that 1 second, that moment where I was like, that, and I feel together. Like it's in those seconds where you're like, that hope for the next world is like there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a past world that was how it was.
Well, hopefully it'll like transition back to what it was. But also the second time it happened was, I think it was in this episode 6 when Serena Joy is hosting that big party for like the Mexican ambassador.
Yeah.
And all the handmaids are lined up. Mm-hmm. And Serena Joy comes out and she's like, take out the ugly ones, like with like physical scars. And that lady, like their commander, I guess,
the aunt,
that old woman, she's like, what? She's like, no, they're all handmaids, like, why would you?
They deserve to be here.
No, she's like, take out the ugly ones.
Yeah.
And even like seeing her feeling protected against like, you know what I mean, like she was protecting them, even though she freaking does that to them. She was like, no, I want them all to be there. And like the way she like kissed that girl, she was like, don't worry, like, you'll have your party, like, don't worry, you'll have your time. I was like, this is like crazy. Like, it's crazy. There's like dynamics. Some weird ass like dynamic between her and her handmaids.
Yeah. I think just in general, just seeing that, like, even though it's not even about genders anymore. It's about the power that you have in this world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And but I mean, gender is a huge thing though.
Gender's a huge thing.
Look at Serena Joy. That girl got cut out real quick.
Yeah, because even her character like doesn't get as
she
much
was smarter
power.
than the commander.
Yeah. And she doesn't really get that kind of like say in this world. But it's really, really crazy to think that, like, you know, like I said, spoilers, obviously, but like in episode 6, when you find out that the Mexican ambassador, she's just like, she doesn't care at the end of the day that she's like, I want babies.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get babies. Mm-hmm. You know, like at the end, like June Offred is like pleading with her, like, save my life. And she's like, I can't do shit.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. You know, because she knows what
so
she needs to do.
This is the quote that I want to tell you guys, because I think this is exactly what is the show. Mm-hmm. When I think the commander says it, I think he said it.
Yeah.
Better never means better for everyone. It always means worse for some.
Yeah.
So they're trying to change the world and they're trying to have these like, it means better in a sense, but like it always is going to mean worse for someone.
You can't ever like please
how
everybody.
Is everyone going to have a better life?
Yeah, it's true. There's always going to be someone who's going to suffer. Yeah, I think that's a big overarching theme in this whole show.
Yeah, it's really freaky.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's sad because
he's like, he basically said like, you're shit out of luck. Like, you got the shitty end.
Yeah.
Like,
this is what your life is. So sorry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really dark. But yeah.
Not to say that Serena Joy's life is amazing either, to be honest. It's really not.
Yeah. And we get a peep of that in episode 6. You know, she gets as far as she can, but she still can't get there. Because
like, imagine having to watch your husband like screw someone else every single night and be reminded that you can't have kids. Like, it is definitely true. It's breaking as a woman. For like sure.
They're really redefining like what it means to be like in that unit, like being in a relationship with someone. And like, because this world has been faced with something that is it's very jarring to see, like, you know, the lack of like fertility,
right,
and how that can really affect not just like relationships on a small scale, but like humanity and like what humanity is willing to do to get back there.
Also really important, and this is a really big thing, the fact that Serena Joy went up to Offred and was like, there's something wrong with him. You know, the commander, that he's like Sarah. Like, you know how big that is for her to admit that? Because like, ain't no man gonna admit that they got problems. It's always the woman's problem that she can't have a baby. True. For her to get there and say that,
she,
I was
whispered her. She's like, hey, we're not even that close, but something's wrong with him.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right? Because she could keep going and trying and changing up the handmaid, but she knows that it's not just the handmaid. Like, the issue could be him too, right? It's likely his
fault, for sure.
Like, honestly, guys, we could keep talking about this forever.
We can talk about it forever, for sure. But those are the main things that I really want to talk about. As I mentioned before, if you haven't gone to the show yet, please just do yourself a favor and watch it. If you're a Torontonian, you will love it even more, because we got a shout out right at the very end of episode 7 with a CN Tower shot even. You know, it's like definitely shot in Toronto, which is really, really cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next show.
Yeah.
Let's talk about American Gods. So American Gods is also a television adaptation from a book. I'm going to check what it's called and who the writer is. Do you know who it is?
No, but I want to say he's the guy from the 100, and I don't know what that is.
The author is Neil Gaiman. That's his name, and he wrote a really super long book, I guess, way back when, and it's an interesting show. So what did you think? You watched the first episode, right?
Watched the first episode. I thought I was on heavy drugs when I finished watching it, because it's definitely crazy.
It's very.
I needed to ask you. I was like, but what is this point of the show?
Yeah.
What is the show about? And then you totally put it into perspective for me. I was like, okay, cool, okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that they don't really bother with is any preface to the storyline at all. You just get thrown into the story, and you kind of have to hope for the best and stick with it. So from the premise, from what I know, we've talked about it to a few people who have actually read the book, and they say that it's a journey story. So there's kind of a start and end to it. And it covers off this guy named Shadow. I think he must be the main character. And he just gets out of jail, and he finds out that his wife has died. But also has been low-key screwing his best friend. Yeah. Before he got released.
But also he's having weird premonitions.
He's also having some crazy premonitions at the same time.
Some weird dreams.
And he gets taken up by this man called Mr. Wednesday, and he kind of just goes along with it, and he gets hired to be his guardian or bodyguard, essentially his driver. And then shit kind of starts from there, because then he starts to meet all these interesting characters along the way, people who kind of want to kill him, people who kind of want to test him out and see who he is. So I can see that it's going to really focus in on his character.
It's interesting that you said that, just because even just now, just realizing the fact that he's in a black and white suit, he totally looks like the bodyguard. Yeah, he didn't even know that was gonna happen. Even true. Just visually, he was in a black and white suit from the beginning and then the end. The get-go, that's actually funny that you said that.
Right? Totally. Yeah, totally. So that's essentially what he's there for. I don't know what his significance is just yet. Yeah. I think from what I just finished watching the second episode this past weekend, and I will say that it is still a show that I think you need to stick with a little bit longer, and just stay along for the ride, and kind of just let go and go with it, because there is almost no context at all to what is happening. Yeah. You have to just go with it. And I think and it's funny because I guess in a way you're kind of trying to see it in the eyes of the main character, Shadow, and he doesn't know what the fuck is happening either. He has no idea what's happening either. So you kind of have to just trust him. Even though he looks like he's sure of himself, he has no fucking clue what's happening either. He doesn't know who's a god, what's what does that mean? We don't even know what that means. I think if you read the book, you know that some of them have special powers. I think if you notice after the first episode that there is some sort of magic or supernatural element to the show. So I definitely would continue watching it and see how far I can get. I heard really good things about the fourth or fifth episode. They talked about a really cool sex scene apparently.
Yeah, and I think there's this whole theme of the old gods versus the new gods, right? I think that's the biggest.
And you kind of see a little bit of that, or you glean a little bit of that now, or in the first episode where the god of technology kind of comes into the play, and talks about the whole idea of worshiping or giving energy to something like technology in this day and age, and not to things that are kind of old school, which I don't even know what that means. Yeah. But yeah, I'll keep watching it. There's some good acting in it.
Yeah, and the main guy's pretty hot. Insane.
The visuals are insane. So yeah, definitely want to check that one out and keep going for it. So
it's a thinker show. So if you're not, if you want something light and easy in and out, no, that's not the show. So
it's super, super visual. You're right, because they do a lot of close-ups, so you're consistently engaged by the visuals. The story is still picking up for me. I still need to keep an eye on the story, but the visuals are kind of keeping me going for now. Last but not least on the TV docket, we're gonna talk about Attack on Titan. So just a little preface, this is a show that myself and my brother, a few of my other friends, had watched the first season of, binge watched it off of Netflix, and it's a really, really fantastic anime, and we just would not stop talking about it, and NB's just let me get in on this. Mm-hmm. And it got me so fucking happy, because I know that
I don't watch anime. I never watched anime. I never liked anime.
Basically,
I still find it kind of weird. To be honest, they're always crying and there's always liquid coming down their eyes. But no, it was good. It was good. I watched the first 2 episodes on Netflix, and it was like I was so entertained by it. It was really good.
It's something about this particular, I mean, a lot of animes are like really, really engaging in so many ways, but this one, like right out the gate, gets you like right into the world and like really scares you and shocks you.
Yeah. And you're right, like the visuals, like of the bad people.
Yeah, the Titans.
Oh, it's so creepy, but like it's like you still kind of want to watch it. You kind of want to keep seeing it. But it's so freaking creepy.
It's true. So yeah, without giving too much away, this story is essentially like kind of like middle-aged world where they like don't have technology, and they like these gigantic, they call them Titans, they're giants who are humanoid, come to like attack humanity, and they all live in like villages in this like circular type wall structure, and there's a large wall on the outside, and then there's like a space, so there's a gap of space where like that's like where all the small towns.
3 layers of walls, right?
And then like
3 tiers, and
and then the closer and closer you get to the middle, like the more secure it is. So like you're more rich if like you're in the middle part.
People live in the middle.
And you're obviously poor if you're on the outside. So you kind of start the show off with the character who lives on the outsides. The first wall breaks down, and then like shit hits the fan.
Attacked,
and then it kind of shows how like humanity works with a crisis like that happening, and you know, it's really, really interesting. I think it's really cool to see a show that's like anime cover off like something like humanity in such an interesting way. It's kind of like, the way I see it is like The Walking Dead.
It is
totally of anime, of Japanese anime, but
it has that feeling.
I feel like they do it's a little different in the sense that there's like a larger.
Not that I've watched other anime, but I feel like it would only work in this way.
Yeah.
Because they do get a very on a dramatic level, and and you have to,
and because it's high intensity,
like, it is high intensity.
It's like life or death.
Yeah. So
right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. If it was any other situation, it'd be too much.
You would look like, imagine like The Simpsons does this. Like it would just, you wouldn't like even the visuals, like it wouldn't go.
Yeah, it's true.
It has a very comic booky like
feel to
intense,
it. Yeah. Which it is. It's cool. Based on a manga.
It's
so
cool.
I hope NB keeps sticking with it.
You know what? I'd watch it. I do a lot of my watching while I'm cooking, actually.
Yeah.
So I watch and I cook at the same time, but because there's subtitles, I can't watch and cook with this show. True. So I wait around to watch it.
Like on the
train,
subway or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a show. It's now in its 2nd season, and the 2nd season's about to like close off as well. I think it's actually going to go up to 13 episodes, but it's a lot shorter than the 1st season. But yeah, I'm excited to see kind of how it all continues on, because it's a really, really engaging, exciting show to watch. So check that one out too.
It is downloadable on Netflix Canada, so that's a good thing.
Do it up. 2nd season's still not out just yet, but we're finding our own ways to get that. But you know, gotta do what you gotta do.
They lurking hard.
Finally, I guess we're gonna do some like highlights, some news reports,
hot topics of the week.
Anything going on? I think the thing that I want to talk about was the Game of Thrones trailer came out just last week.
God. You got a good hot topic.
I got really excited about it, and I had to wait until today to tell you. We tweeted about it at recap_rewind. But I think that's a big topic for last week for me. It showed a lot, and just as an FYI, we are going to be continuing our Game of Thrones recapping series when that starts up July 16th, was it? Right? 16th or 17th, I think. So it's just around the corner. Well, not really, but it got me really, really excited. Shows all of our characters in like a certain way. Daenerys is coming back, and Cersei is ready to kill everybody, and there's a bunch of White Walkers coming down from the north. So
I wonder what's gonna happen first. Like, I wonder, because I'm almost thinking of as like this season is either gonna be getting Cersei out of the picture, or getting the White Walkers out of the picture, and then now it's just a race between humans.
Right.
But I almost feel like that's too much of a battle.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's gonna come down to like the White Walkers at the end of season 8. So I feel like this season Cersei is going down.
I feel like it needs to be that way for sure.
She definitely needs to die. Like, they're not going to keep her to the end of the show. No. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
She needs to die, guys.
We'll save it for our we'll save it for our actual season, but like I definitely have my predictions of how she's going to die, like what might happen to her. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I definitely need to see that. I feel like we need to conclude the fight for the Iron Throne before the White Walkers come.
Yes, you're right.
I think
there needs to be a legit, like,
or maybe it'll happen in the middle of it all.
No, it has to happen before, because like I feel like they still need this like I don't know, maybe.
Like, can you imagine?
Organized first, and then the White Walkers
concept.
Come.
Like, they're about to like crown someone, and then like a White Walker comes and like murders them. I'd be like,
no, they can't. No.
Oh my god.
I think the urgency will be there because they know the White Walkers are coming.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, right? It's like they gotta somehow get Cersei out, and like everyone else in the freaking realm needs to be like, get Cersei out. The White Walkers are coming. Like, we gotta like turn up right now.
But like, who's telling this story right now? Because the wall isn't the wall being like telling everybody like, yo, the White Walkers are here.
I know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
You know what I mean? Like, haven't they sent the pigeons off?
I heard that the wall's gonna collapse. It's gonna like die. It's gonna like crack.
They're gonna die. Yeah.
So once that happens, I think everyone's gonna when I say everyone, like everyone in like the whole world is gonna be like, we
gotta do something about it.
We got to retreat right now. Because I think that's what happens is like, they're like, oh, the wall's good, whatever. Like, the wall will stop everyone. Yeah. No. When the wall breaks, you guys are fucked.
Yeah. Look how excited we're already getting about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, no, I can't help it.
Is there anything else in terms of hot topics? Riverdale, I was thinking if there's anything, but I don't think
Nothing
so.
Nothing with Riverdale so far, but
they're starting to shoot.
We do know that like they're gonna start shooting probably
in the next like, month or so.
June 20th or something. They're going back there in Vancouver to shoot. And I think new episodes are coming in the fall. Yeah. And I think we are getting a longer season this year.
Sweet.
So it's not just 13, it's like 20 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. Hot topics? I don't really have any hot topics.
Yeah.
What else is there?
There's nothing really happened. Award shows?
What?
No award shows.
What? Award shows.
There's nothing.
Drake cleaned up.
Hot
topic: the Katy Perry and Taylor Swift drama.
Oh yeah, that kind of got uncovered this week.
Slash, like, it's so lame. It's like 10 years later.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Katy Perry.
We already know Taylor Swift is crazy. We already know that.
And I think that that's what she kind of concluded with Katy Perry going on her like new like album like push. Yeah. She's going on all these shows and she's kind of like talked about it to a few like hosts and said, you know, listen, she's got some beef with me about these dancers and she started it, and if she wants to like figure shit out, then I'm down, but she needs to reach out to me because I'm not about that life. So whatever. Katy Perry, you need to grow up, first of all, because like you're a child. Like, you're so much older to be in like a fight with another girl like on a public stage. I think she needs to just grow up.
Yeah.
And Taylor needs to like come out with a new album to clap back.
No, please no. I'm okay with this. Like,
you know that Taylor Swift is going to come back, though. She's going to come back. She will
come back.
I hope her whole album is like, I'm sorry for being such an idiot.
Who do you think she's dating now?
I don't care.
Because she needs inspiration.
Me not care. I think she needs to take the inspiration about the fact that she's been totally like hated on this whole time. I think I'd like to see a side of her that's like, I'm sorry about it. I'm sorry about being like such a fake ass bitch like all this time.
Yeah,
I think that's her only approach at this point. I'm not even joking. I think it would be a cool approach to, like, and it would be in her best interest to be like, yo world, I'm sorry for being like crazy.
No man, because then her fans are gonna be like, what? You betrayed us?
No man. Okay, come on. We've already seen so much drama in the last like 2 years unfold, showing how fucking fake delusional.
She is. You know they are. Probably like she can do no wrong.
No, but she did like so many wrong.
Yeah, but you see, they don't see it. That's like if Khaleesi did something so bad, you would not admit it.
All
like,
of the
no,
receipts.
It's Khaleesi.
Kim kept all of the receipts. Like, it's over now.
Kim?
She kept all the receipts.
Yeah, honestly, like Kim got her so hard.
Yeah, like that's like the clapback of the year. So
that was so good. Oh, she's such an idiot.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, we've already heard so many stories, and especially with this whole Katy Perry thing coming back up, it's like, okay, we get it. We know that she's like shady. So Taylor, we're not gonna forget.
Yeah. Also, hot topic, I saw another tweet. They're filming American Crime Story.
Oh yeah.
They're filming the New Orleans one, and they're filming the Versace.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, because so you were saying that it's
Ryan Murphy's 2 shows.
Yeah, it's Ryan Murphy's 2 shows following. So
one is American
OJ.
Horror Story.
Yeah.
No, wait, sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, is it?
American Horror Story.
Versace?
Yeah.
No,
American Horror Story is like regular. I don't know what they're doing American Horror Story for this season.
Yeah, you're right. We don't know.
Okay, but American Crime Story, they're doing Versace, and then they're doing Katrina. They're doing them like back to back or almost simultaneously.
Yeah, because I think at this point it should have already been released one season because OJ came out at this time last year. Yeah. So I think they had to push it. So they're gonna just shoot them back to back and then probably like air them back to back too.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, they said so. Because then they're gonna work on the next season after that.
Holy! I think they can just one or the other. Like,
I think they're gonna do AHS and then ACS right away.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, and we'll definitely love to see if you guys have interest in that because I'd love to. I'd love to talk about that. Yeah. So I think that's it for our episode. If you like what we're talking about or want us to talk about anything more,
we need your likes, we need your comments. If you don't like us,
comments.
Let us know what you're thinking
if
about
you don't like us.
Our podcast, our weekly podcast.
Yeah. So tweet us at recap_rewind, or you can just.
We're on YouTube.
We're
on iTunes podcast.
Yep. All those things.
And
so just check us out. All right. Peace out. Bye.